Welcome back to the Bison Information Network. I'm Malik joined by Mentzel. And tonight, the Bison will be playing against Oral Roberts in the championship tonight at 8 p.m. Now, before we get into this matchup, we got to take a look at this team. They've been through some ups and downs this season, and you got to give Coach Richmond props for leading such a young team to success. Dash, I'm going to let you get into the matchup. The Bison lost to Oral Roberts twice during the regular season. It was tough.
Yeah, everybody in this conference has lost to Oral Roberts this year. Oral Roberts undefeated in the regular season in conference play. But as for those two matchups between NDSU and ORU, the first matchup, the Bison lost to the Golden Eagles in Fargo, 92-69. It was a close game at halftime. NDSU was only down by 5. It was a score of 52-47. However, NDSU was only held to 22 points in the second half, and that is what caused ORU to run away with that game. And then meanwhile, back in Tulsa, it was more of a defensive matchup. NDSU won that game, or lost that game, 74-66. NDSU was down by 6 at halftime, and both teams struggled to score after halftime, but ORU was able to pull away late in that game.
Yep, it's tough, for the Bison last night to get into their matchup. They started out strong, which they probably need to do. No, what they need to do against this team is, like you said, 18-0, speaks for itself.
No probablys about that. I mean, they definitely have to start off strong tonight against an Oral Roberts team that is going to come out with fire, as they always do. And even when they struggle to score, that eventually they're going to find their way to the basket eventually.
Yeah, speaking of struggling to score, that's when the Bison have the opportunity to edge ORU when their scoring is not efficient, with their shooting specifically. I think the Bison can get it done.
And there's been a lot of games lately. Even in the last game in the tournament for ORU against St. Thomas, they have struggled to score. And when they struggle to score, it seems like the team kind of shuts down a little bit overall. And that is when you need to take advantage of ORU.
Definitely, to get some keys of the game, start out strong. Just like last night, they came out strong against NDSU. Regardless of their environment, those guys really came together like we harped on before that game. These guys are going to have to come together, and that's what they did. 4 players scored over 10 points. That's what they definitely need to do tonight.
Yep, and the next key is to contain Max Asmus and Connor Vanover. Max Asmus, he is a scorer. Whenever he's got the ball in his hands, he is very dangerous, and you always need to know where he is. And then meanwhile, for Connor Vanover, when he's underneath the basket, when they're on offense, he can easily lay it up into the basket since he is 7'5".
Yep.
And then finally, beat Vanover in the paint when you're on offense, and that's another test of itself right there. Vanover once again 7'5". It is hard to get the ball past him when you are trying to score.
Yep.
And then meanwhile, going into some ORU key players, and speaking of ORU's players, Max Asmus, the team's leading scorer, was 705 points, and we always know that like I mentioned, he's a threat whenever he's got that ball in his hands. And then meanwhile, Connor Vanover, he's got 415 points on the season, and he has 101 blocks. And that's kind of why I mentioned, got to try to get past him when you have the ball, because it's not easy. He has almost set ORU's single-season record in blocks, and you might be able to do it with a couple more tonight. And then meanwhile, Isaac McBride, he's got 396 points on the season, one of the fastest players on the team, and one of the fastest players in the conference.
Yep.
And that's not all. They also have players like Carlos Jurgens, Patrick Mwamba, and Kareem Thompson. So literally, there's a good chance when you're playing ORU that all 5 of their players on the court are going to be players to look out for.
Yeah, it is going to be tough in the paint, because that's kind of what NDSU kind of model their game to, the paint, and it's going to be tough. Like you said, 7'5". That's going to be tough. They're going to have to find a way to dominate in the paint.
If you can't get past Vanover, you're literally limited to just trying to take 3-point shots. And NDSU, while they have at times been really good from the 3-point line, like they were last night in the second half, however, that's not the case all the time, and you can't just rely on that. You got to try to get in the paint at some point, and they're going to have to try to find a way to get past Vanover at some point tonight.
Yep, and a consistent rhythm. If they can take advantage of ORU when they're down, because they've showed time and time again when they're not hot, that's when they start to decline. So if NDSU can take that over, I think the Bison can get it done here tonight.
And this is for all the marbles tonight. NDSU looking for their first conference championship since 2020, or are you looking for their first conference championship since 2021 in a rematch tonight of that conference championship game from 2021, in which ORU beat North Dakota State. So NDSU looking for a little bit of revenge tonight from that game.
Yep, let's see what happens. We'll catch you guys at halftime when we come back.